And the moment that it began to get tense, it started about 30 minutes into all of this. So here's where it started. Watch.
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either.
I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied it, our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now the President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict. Do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly
Remember
what
this.
you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. Yeah, you're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's back to you, far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Okay, that is just the first chunk of this, and it escalated from there. We're going to show you the rest, but we want to pause there and bring in Mike Pompeo, President Trump's former Secretary of State, former head of the CIA, and Fox News contributor. Great to have you with us today. So your reaction to what we saw, sir?
Well, Martha, it's great to be with you. That is quite unusual. In one sense, it's unusual in the sense of this played out in public, but I've seen many, many tough conversations with world leaders. I've been part of them with the Chinese and with others. President Trump has certainly been part of them. I was party to those as well. So the vigorous nature of the debate that took place, each side staking out its arguments, its claim, each trying to deliver on behalf of its own people, that frankly didn't stun me. I'm probably pretty hard to surprise at this point. Yeah. But I was surprised that this took place in the Oval Office with the media still present. And then the second thing I observed was when you're engaged in these things that are absolutely important to the United States of America and to the Ukrainian people and to Europe, you have to make sure you don't personalize this. This can't be about individuals. This is so much bigger than that. This matters so much to how this administration can successfully deliver the deterrence that it had during the first 4 years, push back against Vladimir Putin as we had done. You have to make sure that you get the ideas right. You have to get the structure right. It's about actions, not words. And when we get those things right, we can deliver a really good outcome for the United States and frankly, a good outcome for Europe and Ukraine as well. And if you get them wrong, then there's lots of risk, as President Trump described in the Oval Office.
All right. Just a quick question before we go to the second part. When President Trump said, you have no cards, with us you have cards, and you are gambling with World War III, do you agree with those statements?
There's no doubt. Ukraine, without the support of the United States of America, puts itself in real jeopardy, real risk. We ought to make sure we do this well and do this powerfully. And when we do, Ukraine will have a chance to get a good outcome. And that matters. That matters to the United States deeply, Martha. Yeah.
It matters to the security of the world, really. And that is the goal that was set out to be achieved today, with just this first piece being a mineral deal. I think everyone needs to understand that. This was, the first piece. And as President Trump has said, you don't get to figure out peacekeeping troops until you get further down the line here. So this was part one, and maybe they'll be able to salvage it. Let's watch the next section of this really historic moment for all of us who've been following this war very closely. Watch this.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting?
Times.
No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
Today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you can...
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No, you've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You haven't been alone.
In this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment, and you men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment, if you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
maybe
new.
Less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
Just say thank